For Christmas, I want a dragon.
Be realistic.
I want Egypt to get its shit together.
What color do you want your dragon?
Red.
Am I late? Yeah, unfashionably so. But I'm here nonetheless, and that's what counts in the end. Fuck off. Transportation in Egypt is amazing. Said no one ever. I believe the best description I've seen of it was...
This is not a serious public transit system, more like a half-baked, haphazard mess that kinda sorta functions because it has to.
And much like literally everything else here, it has been getting exponentially worse over the past years, and something tells me that that is intentional. And by something, I mean the president.
ودخل السكة الحديد كام في السنة؟
دخل السكة الحديد زي ما حضرتك يعني حاجتين، قطاع مسافات طويلة وقطاع
كام يا فندم الدخلك تشغيلي بيكلفني كذا ومواردي كذا؟ قول لو سمحت.
هو فرق فظيع يا فندم.
لا من فضلك. لا لازم نقول للناس.
التشغيل حوالي 4 مليار أو 5 مليار والإيرادات لا تتجاوز 2 مليار.
أنا بقول الكلام ده لينا ليه؟ دايما كلامي أنا هتلاقوه دايما مش مريح كده. بس دي الحقيقة ودي اللي خلتنا دايما مستوانا كده إن الحقائق ما بنواجههاش كما ينبغي. تقول لي انا هصرف 10 مليار عشان اكهرب واعمل ميكنه. ال10 مليار دول لو انا حطيتهم في البنك لو خدت عليهم فايده 10% يعني مليار جنيه، ولو بالوضع الجديد اللي موجود دلوقتي بسعر الفايده يبقى 2 مليار جنيه. لما مرفق عايز له اكتر من 100 مليار جنيه لرفع كفاءته، ده هو بيتكلم على الصعيد فقط، الصعيد وبقيه وجه بحري وتجرارات طب الكلام ده احنا هنسده منين؟ هندفع اللي احنا جايبينه قرض من كوريا وقرض من فرنسا وقرض من هنا ومن هنا، هندفعه منين؟ الدولة ما تقدرش تدفع. وانا عايز اقول لكم دي كانت مشكله، انا هتكلم على الوقت اللي انا فيه بس، ان كل واحد فينا بيتكلم ما بيقولش الحاجه دي بتتكلف كام وهنجيبها منين، ونسيب الناس تتفرج علينا، ولما نيجي نقول له انا هزود عليك التذكره جنيه يقول لك انا غلبان مش قادر. صحيح، وانا كمان غلبان مش قادر.
That is vile.
The gist of that garbled mess from a few years ago, by the way, is the president derailing, pun intended, a proposed development to the southern sector railway with the excuse of the state funds running out and loan debt being too much as it is.
Well, whose fault is that?
I mean, they had a fucking monorail to build, for God's sake. Come on. Gotta do that first before even thinking about the trains that the unwashed masses use. Having finally built the monorail and pointlessly ran it empty so it doesn't gather dust, recently it seems His Majesty had a change of heart and decided to start pouring resources into the peasant transport sector.
No, yep. No, Bill, what's going on here?
اللي احنا شفناه النهارده واللي اتعمل ده هو جهد الدولة المصرية وجهد وزارة النقل في ان هي مش تحسن مستوى الخدمة، ده هي قطاع كان مهمل على مدى عشرات السنين اللي فاتت، وما كانش طرف ابدا مننا ان احنا يعني نقول ايه ان ده ما كانش ممكن يتعمل. يعني ممكن حد يناقش يقول ال 2 تريليون اللي فريق كامل بيتكلم عليهم كان ممكن يتحطوا في حاجة تانية، كلام مهم نسمعه ونتناقش عليه. لا ما كنتش اقدر لو كنا احنا بنتكلم على ان احنا نجهز بلدنا اولا لخدمه مواطنيها ثم لخدمه الحركه بتاعه دوله عايزه تنمو ل 106 مليون دلوقتي يمكن اكتر. ازاي هنقدر نعمل ده واحنا الضروريات والاساسيات القديم كان يعني خرج من الخدمه مش كده يا كامل طبعا، والجديد مش موجود خالص. فكان لابد ان احنا ننفق الانفاق الكبير قوي ده اللي ممكن يبقى فيه نقاش كبير قوي على ان يعني هل الوقت كان ممكن يبقى اطول من كده. انت قلت مثالين 3 على التكلفه الماليه، ان احنا كان كل وقت بنقعده التكلفه الماليه ممكن بتزيد، مش على قد التكلفه الماليه عشان سعر الدولار اتغير في مصر، لا احنا بنتكلم على ان الاسعار العالميه تقريبا اتضاعفت. يعني الحاجه اللي كانت بتيجي 2 مليون دولار زي الجرارات اللي اتكلمت عليها بقت ب4 وشويه. طب انا النهارده لو بجيب 100 جرار 2 مليون يعني 200 مليون ف4 يعني 450 ولا مش كده يا كابتن؟
ايوه فندم.
انا بس بقول الكلام ده لينا ان احنا ممكن اكون قلت الكلام ده قبل كده واتكلمنا فيه قبل كده كتير، لكن انا باكده ان هي ثوابت في ادارتنا للعمل.
Aside from corruption, those trillions of pounds obviously went to shiny sparkly bullshit and nothing of actual value in typical Egyptian fashion. The latest of which is the new pointless train station in Bashtil in Giza. Wait, I know what this is missing. And the new station is entirely redundant, seeing how Giza already has a functioning train station that is still in operation. 7 years ago, Sisi rejected the plan of Hisham Arafat, former Minister of Transportation, to develop the railways for 10 billion Egyptian pounds, saying that it was better to put them in the bank and collect $1 billion in interest. So he fired him and hired Kamil Wazir, who took 2 trillion Egyptian pounds worth of loans, and God willing, accidents have gone up by 600%. Yes, 600%. As a matter of fact, mere days after His Majesty gave this legendary speech about how they had no choice but to develop the railways, this happened. I just want to say that it's so bad it's almost impressive that they were able to fuck up this bad. The southern lines only have one line in each direction, like there's no room for confusion there. Yet somehow 2 trains ended up on the same line, and this happens a lot. Just Google Egypt train crash or whatever and you would get a whole ass list of them from like the past 5 or however many years. This time apparently it's the automatic junctions that failed. These junctions are supposed to be new, like 5 or 6 years at the highest estimate. Very peculiar how 2 trillion Egyptian pounds failed to cover those specific junctions. I guess they just forgot about them. Oopsie daisy. It's okay though, nobody important got harmed, it's just Egyptians.
كان في حد فيها عويط؟ كان في واحد طلع ميت. محدش طلع غير هو الواحد. واحد. لحد دلوقتي واحد بس؟ في احتمال يكون في ناس جوه، محدش عارف، في غرفة مش عارفين يخشوها. اللي هي اللي فيها العصر. اللي هي بيبقى فيها الطاقم بتاعنا. وفيها عسكري كمان. حاولوا ولا مفيش حاجة؟ لا حاولوا يخشوا من حوالي ساعتين زمن وما عرفوش يخشوا الأوضة دي. لأن الأوضة دي هي اللي في العصر بتاعت ما عرفوش يخشوا الأوضة دي بس. المصاريح حاليا في انتظار العربية تترفع. هو تحت مش عارف يخش.
شايف ولا عينك جوه في قلب المعلقه بتاعتي بيخدم معاكم في السكه الحديد الشكل ده. ليه بيحصل كده؟ احنا موحدين بالله ومؤمنين بالله. ميت تدول جثته واروح. ما قلتش لا. صاحي تقول عالجه. ما قلتش لا. اللي ما بتبقاش العربيه في الميه كده. حاجه لا مين قال لك؟ ما سايبيننا اهي. فين الساعه 8 الصبح الكلام ده؟ الساعه 8 بيجوا منين؟ بيجوا من انجلترا. طب انجلترا كان كده. لو بقول كده كان انجلترا كان كده. صح ولا غلط؟ احنا دولتنا دوله متاخره عمرها. والله عمر الدوله ما هتتعدى. والله عمرها ما هتتعدى. كنا حتى من 8 الصبح سايبيننا العربيه.
خلي بالك في حديد هنا. خلي بالك يا حاج.
مؤمنين وموحدين بالله. ما هنقول زي ما يرضى الله. إنا وإنا إليه راجعون.
يا جماعة وسع شوية. وسع شوية يا جماعة.
وسعوا لي يا ولاد. نزلوني يا ولاد.
قال الله ربنا يرحمه. تعالي تعالي. ربنا يرحمه. العربية بتاعتنا فين؟
My condolences to her and everyone affected. This fucking sucks and it's getting really old. On another front, they were worried about the tourism season and trying to cover up the cholera in Aswan. Have this then. Did I mention that one of the trains in this collision is a sleeper train whose main demographic is tourists? Great PR, guys. And that is not the only big incident right after his glorious speech about transport. It's as if even the forces that be cannot stand his speeches and pour their divine wrath upon us whenever this motherfucker opens his mouth.
انا طلعت لما تعبت نظر ايه. قول له الشاهد. اتوبيس مش طالب يا جدعان.
The number of victims from the Galala University bus accident goes up to 10 deaths and 32 injuries, some in critical conditions. Most of the victims are from the Faculty of Medicine in Galala University. The accident took place on the way from the uni to the dorm in Porto. 30 ambulances were dispatched to the site. The dead and injured were transferred to its Swiss medical complex. A medical source confirms the state of emergency was declared and all medical crews being summoned to treat the injured. And there is a video of the mentioned transfer with the iconic background music that nobody asked for, courtesy of Cairo 24, the most professional news network to ever exist. You might notice the video is at night time, while the video of the mess seemed to be sometime before sunset, so that gives us at least like 2 to 3 hours before help arrived. By that time, I think it's better to just send 30 hearses instead of the ambulances. But Egyptians already know they can't rely on the government for help.
بعد اذنكم يا جماعه، انتوا لو في حد منكم في الجروبات اللي هي بتاعت الجامعه كلها اللي فيها ناس بتاعت تمريض وطب، يخليهم يجوا عند مكان الحادثه عند بنزينه، لان هنا العدد قليل قوي في الاسعافات ومفيش حد عارف يساعد حد، وانا مش طالب تمريض ولا حاجه زي كده، فخلي الناس اللي هم في تمريض او في طب يجوا يساعدونا. انا مش في جروبات زي دي، يا ريت الناس اللي في الجروبات دي تبعت لهم خليهم يجوا عند مكان الحادثه جنب بنزينه الوطنيه.
And like most tragedies in Egypt, this one was entirely preventable, and the people responsible for it are the usual suspects, the military, who are also pretty much the government. Galala University's accident is terrible not for its outcome, but because it could have been avoided if we had the least amount of thinking. How do you give a university its license when it's built in the middle of the desert without forcing it to build a dorm for all its students near it? And all students have to ride on the highway every day back and forth to go to university. And that opens up a discussion around who owns that uni and their affiliations. Who owns this Galala University? One of the community colleges they founded in 2020, aka it belongs to them. We don't have community colleges in Egypt for real. What we have is private universities that we affectionately call community colleges. Someone said it belongs to the Ministry of Defense, and the Minister of Defense is part of the Board of Trustees, but I don't know personally. But wait, the rabbit hole goes deeper. Apparently there is a dorm near it, but there is some corruption going on there, to absolutely no one's surprise. From Telegraph Masr's site, Galala University dorm can accommodate 10,000 students, but only has 2,000 and is mostly empty, but they say it's only for top students, so we have to rent outside. And the bus is not allowed to go to Porto Sokhna highway because it's in the mountains. And it's clear the university is aware of the buses that stop in front of it to take the students, which goes against the university's regulations, as it should have its own buses. The purpose of this is to operate the buses of a certain company. A student exposes brokerage after the bus accident that killed 10 students. I don't know if this is true, but I am 100% willing to believe it, because the whole country is run like this anyway. Things done in the least efficient, most convoluted ways with the least quality possible just to benefit this or that company or rich dude, which are almost always military people or military organizations. But wait, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. Kamil al-Wazir, the current Minister of Transportation and also Minister of Industry while he's at it, was in charge of the engineering entity that supervised the Galala Highway project, and he supervised it personally. The road was finished a year ahead of its schedule, which raises a million questions about its safety, especially that it has seen many accidents in the past. Attached with this tweet is a snippet boasting about the progress in the highway from when it was under construction. Lieutenant General Kamil al-Wazir, head of the engineering entity of the armed forces, states they finished about 80% of the second part of Galala to El Ain al-Sokhna highway, which is one of the most important projects the state is carrying out in recent times, pointing out how challenging and difficult it was due to being located in a mountainous and rough area. Very reassuring words when you know it was finished a whole ass year earlier than projected, isn't it? And also attached with the tweet is a list of some of the accidents that this road has seen since its opening. Condolences to the victims and their families, which sounds like a broken record at this point. And I honestly have to wonder why people still use their shit and go to their universities and everything they make. They own this university and they own the cursed highway, and it's a private college that is owned by the greediest people in the country, if not the world, so I can't see affordability being a reason to force people to go into it. Everything they produce is dog shit because, surprise surprise, it turns out army people don't know shit about industry or civilian business or engineering or whatever the fuck else that isn't army stuff. The only decent products you can get from their outlets is the shit that they steal from other merchants, not their own productions, so like, hashtag boycott them or whatever. To add insult to injury, here's a clip of a student yelling at a lieutenant general at that university for not taking their protest seriously.
يا عم مش عاجبك اللي بيدخن ده؟ ما تحترمنا يا عم.
انا ولا
عبد الرحمن يا استاذ معلش. احنا بنتكلم في ايه؟
اشرب ليه؟
احنا بنتكلم في وقت انت حضرتك بتدخن. سعادة الباشا احنا بنتكلم في حاجه دلوقتي، حاجه عامه، حاجه على محافظه. وقف تسمعنا؟
هو قال لي يلا
شوف الشارع، ما تدخلش في الشارع. دخل في الشارع كلامنا مش عاجبك. الشارع كده.
I hope that kid doesn't disappear mysteriously. It takes balls of steel to do something like this. Mad respect. And here's a video of a guy reciting the names of the victims so that they don't just end up numbers in a report. Now they can be numbers with a name next to it. And finally, at the bottom of this slutty rabbit's deep hole, the usual conclusion. The Egyptian Attorney General Counselor Mohammed Shawki ordered the pre-trial detention of El Galala bus driver for 4 days after it was proven he uses drugs. This is within the ongoing investigations about the incident of the bus overturning, which led to the death of 12 students and the injury of 29 others. Standard procedure: find a scapegoat, the driver, say he was guilty of X, which may or may not be true, drugs, and then punish him for that and the whole fiasco without any consequences whatsoever for the people who are actually responsible. It's like every time an accident like this occurs, someone involved takes up the role of Jesus Christ and gets sacrificed for the sins of the leadership. Every time. Every single fucking time. And it keeps working. Finally, there is a show on YouTube I recently found. They made a video about this Galala incident and its causes and whatnot. I would highly recommend checking out the full thing yourself. I'll link it in the description down below. Kind of an abysmal situation, but hey, you can help me out of it by buying me a coffee through the link in the description, which only takes a minute and doesn't need any sign up. It's like a little coffee date, just the two of us. You know you want it. You can also help me fight the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, and subscribing if you haven't already done that. It's an uphill battle because I'm making actual content that is very niche instead of algorithmically optimized slop, but you can tip the scales, my friend. I shall fuck off now, but I'll be back soon. Don't go too far.